And we have Daniel Baumgartner, am I saying that correctly? And Natalie Childers. And you are from the Carolina Raptor Center in Huntersville, correct?
Yes. And tell us a little bit about the Raptor Center. What's the key mission? I think most people know a little bit about it, but maybe not what it's truly about.
Carolina Raptor Center is dedicated to environmental stewardship and the conservation of birds of prey.
Okay. And we do that through education, rehabilitation, and research. So one of my key roles there is that I'm an educator, and we travel around to schools all over North and South Carolina and take the birds with us, usually up to 5 birds, and teach kids not only about their species, but what they can do to stop the birds from coming into our bird hospital.
And we see about 40,000 students a year.
Oh, wow. And how many birds are at the Raptor Center at any given time, roughly?
It changes usually on a daily to weekly basis involving our rehabilitation center. Resident birds, we have around 100. About half of those are on the display trail that the public can come and walk. It's a little less than a mile. We have eagles, hawks, owls, vultures, falcons, harriers, and kites. And then our education birds are the ones that we take on programs and that come out and do flight shows and programs for the public, and they're on a separate trail. Now the rehabilitation birds, it changes. Last count I heard last week, I believe we had a little over 140 birds in rehab.
That's a lot of birds. Wow.
Yes, it's orphan season, so we have a lot of babies in our hospital right now.
And what percentage of the birds that get taken into the Raptor Center become releasable?
So last year, the birds that survived the first 24 hours, 65% of those were released back into the wild.
Wow.
And last year, 800 birds were released.
Now, are all the birds rescued birds, or just the ones that are in the rehabilitation program and on the permanent residence?
All the birds that we have at the center are injured in some way. So any birds that you see out and about in the town from Carolina Raptor Center or that you come see at the center are permanently injured. So some of them might be blind, some of them might be missing a part of their wing or just have a wing that didn't heal correctly. Some of them have brain injuries. They're all permanently injured. We only keep the ones that literally cannot take care of themselves anymore in the wild, because our main goal is to get these birds back out to where they need to be.
That's a huge impact, though, with the 800 birds back in. So you do go to the schools, but you can also go and visit the Raptor Center. You touched upon the trail. What are some of the programs you offer, and talk a little bit about the trail that you can do? And
well, we have, it changes from month to month, but we usually do special events. So just last week on July 4th, we did an eagle release that was open to the public, and about 1,000 people came out. We did a release in honor of veterans and released a rehabilitated bald eagle named Liberty. And you can actually track her progress on our website at www.carolinaraptorcenter.org. So sometimes we'll do bird releases. We do flight shows during the summer on Saturdays and Sundays at 12 and 2 o'clock. So that's where a team of birds free flies over your heads, which is a different setting to see them in. And then on the weekends, our docent volunteers do program offerings, and you can look those up on our website as well.
And you do take in volunteers as well, correct?
Yes, we have a little over, I believe, 300 volunteers that do anything from working in our bird hospital to doing docent programming to just transporting birds that are across the state that need to get to us.
How old do you have to be a volunteer?
You can be a junior volunteer I think at any age, but you have to volunteer with somebody over 18 years old. And then the rules change just for if you're going to work in rehab or if you're going to be handling the birds.
That's wonderful. Well, you can find events that are going on at the Raptor Center on our Lake Norman events or on LKNSavings.com. So who do we have here?
This is Jamie Bond, and Jamie Bond is an eastern screech owl. They're one of the smallest owls we have in North Carolina, so she is full grown. She's actually about 6 years old.
And she's normal size?
She is normal size, yes. And she's actually a female, so in the raptor world, females are generally a little bit larger than males. So a male of this species could be smaller than she is.
She looks so soft.
They are very soft. Owls, they have very soft feathers. They're almost completely silent when they fly. It's how they hunt all the tiny little furry things that they like to eat. But Jamie Bond is with us. She was actually hit by a car. That's the #1 reason we get birds at our center. A little over half of the birds that come to us have been hit by a car. And unfortunately, when Jamie ran into the car, she actually went blind in both of her eyes. And that's not something we can fix. So she can't see to fly or to hunt all the things she needs to. So she'll be with us for the rest of her life. And she came to us when she was very young. So that's how we know she is about 6 years old right now.
Wow.
And typically, though, I heard that if they're blind in both eyes, that you can't save them, or with this one you can because it was so young?
It depends on the, there are laws and regulations we have to follow, and so with Jamie Bond, she sees a little bit of light and shadow, but not much whatsoever. If birds are only a little bit blind or have blindness in one eye, sometimes we can release them. It depends on the species. Any bird that has the potential to be released with us goes to what's called mouse school. And what that means is they're put in a giant flight cage, and basically they have to prove they can hunt live prey and catch it to be able to be released back out into the wild. And Jamie obviously was unable to do that. Yeah. But she's one of my favorite birds. She's named Jamie Bond because she was our 10,007th bird. So she's 007, but she is a female, so that's Jamie Bond and not James Bond.
So you can see her at the Raptor Center then?
Yes, absolutely.
She will be there, okay. All right, so this looks like a hawk.
This is a hawk. This is Scotia. He's a red-tailed hawk, and I'll turn him around for you guys. They're named for that rusty red tail.
He's gorgeous.
They're the largest and most common hawk we have in this area. So if you're driving down the road and you see a big brown bird perched on a tree or a power line, it's probably going to be these guys.
Yeah, we see them. We have a pond and lots of woods behind our house. And we see them
they're everywhere in North Carolina. They're one of the most common hawks in the United States as well. So you can typically see them almost everywhere. Scotia is about 21 years old.
Wow.
He came to us within his first year of life, and he's got a couple of things going on with him. If I turn him, you can see that his left wing's kind of droopy, and that's the original reason he came to us. He has a stiff left elbow, and basically we don't know what happened to him. He can't tell us, obviously, and we can't ask him what happened. So he could have been hit by a car, he could have flown past a tree and hit a branch, but basically it injured his wing in such a way that it's healed and he can fly a little bit, just not well enough to do the things he needs to do. Now when we did get him at the center, we also noticed that his left eye is a good deal smaller than his right eye. So once he stops flapping, you'll notice that his left eye is a lot smaller. It's a congenital defect. He was born that way, and he doesn't see as well out of his left eye. So that combined with the stiff elbow just doesn't allow him to hunt correctly. And the name Scotia in Japanese means little, so he was named for his little eye.
Now, how long do they typically live?
In the raptor world, it depends on their size, so the larger the bird, typically the longer they're going to live. A bird Scotia's size in the wild would probably live a maximum of 15 to 20 years, and obviously he's past that with us now. He could probably live to be about 25, maybe a little older. They can live longer with us at the center usually just because they get regular checkups. If they're ever sick, we have our veterinarian on staff that can take care of them. And for the smaller birds, which isn't something Scotia needs to worry about, they're protected from things that might want to eat them out in the wild. And he also gets fed every day, so basically his meal is handed to him on a platter. So for where he ended up, it's kind of the perfect place for him to be.
Living the life, huh?
Yeah.
Well, he's beautiful.
He's a beautiful bird.
Ooh, cool.